Hey, hey, Lori. It looks like it's just you and I. I realized that I changed the time from 7 to 8, and I'm hoping I didn't confuse those who are used to coming on at 7. I could very well have, it might have been confusing. Tonight, there will be just me. I wanted to get to know the people who are subscribers, and I also wanted to know who the moderators were, etc. Maybe a few more will come in. It's about 8:02, so let's just see if someone comes in. How are you? Thank you for being here. Housekeeping. This is for entertainment purposes only, YouTube. The opinions held are mine. I hope, so that's it. We're just having conversation. That's what we'll be doing. Prayerfully, some people will come. Hi, Rhonda. How are you? It's nice to see you. So there are three of us. Yay! Yay! I might have done a better job also of putting the 8 o'clock time in the title so that people would know it's 8 o'clock tonight and not 7. Adrian and Johnny will be making guest appearances from time to time. Shout out to Johnny at Tarot's Apprentice. He did a marathon last week. I mean, he was on doing lives every night. And so I'm thanking all of you that came in and supported him. Hi, Linda. Hi, Cynthia. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Aspie Third Eye. That he brought in new readers, and it was just great. It was a great show. A great week of good reading. And a shout out to Adrienne at Red Lentil Healing. If you all haven't tried her products, you might go to her website at Red Lentil Healing and try some of her oils. I know that she's gifted me with a bottle of the pain oil, and it was very, very effective. So I can testify to the efficacy of her oils. They do what they say they're supposed to do. Yeah, Lori, it's okay. We can party. We don't need a bunch of people to party. I hope everybody's got their cocktail out or their sip. Hi, Electra, what they're sipping on. So again, so just be us tonight. And I wanted, again, I was telling Lori before you all came in, thank you, Electra, that I wanted to know more about you all, because I think we probably all listen to the same videos. We follow the same people because the names are very, very familiar. And in this new normal of ours, the way we have gotten to know other people are through our comments and watching those videos together and making comments. And so, yeah, I just wanted to get to know a little bit more about who is in the chat. I don't know about you all, but these last 2 weeks have been really, really kind of strange for me. I know there were times when I felt like I forgot to breathe, like I was holding my breath, waiting for something else to happen, waiting for the next shoe to drop. And sure enough, it sure did. It seems that we've had how many shootings in the past week? One moment, please. Let me get my gummies. Mm-hmm. My hard candies. We had so many shootings. I think the latest one is in Oklahoma now. So we've had one in Colorado? I know I wrote them down. Let me refer to my notes because that's why I have them here. Yeah, we've had more shootings, and the one in Minneapolis is particularly troubling because we're in the throes of the George of the Derek Chauvin case, and uh, then there's another shooting death by a police woman, Kim Potter, I think is her name, in another part of part of Minneapolis, or at least in a little town I think was predominantly African American population. I just don't know. I'm certain that having to be locked in has really had a really negative and profound effect on people, especially, oh, thank you, Lori, Chicago and Indiana. And in Chicago was a child, right? There was a 13-year-old, is that correct? As I've only gotten like snatches of the news because the first week of the prosecution presenting its case in the trial, in the Derek Chauvin trial, was really very, very difficult to watch, very painful, as a matter of fact, heart-wrenching, really. And so this past week, we've had the defense present its case where, of course, they try the victim and try every way they can to say, thank you, Debbie. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sandra. It was a 13-year-old. Okay. Yeah, and thank you so much for your kind words, Debbie. It's all for you all. Any excuse to put on some makeup. So the last week, I just tried to kind of separate myself a little bit because I really do I'm taking everything to heart. And I was talking with a really, really close friend who says that, those of us who are praying and those of us who are sending loving thoughts and doing our best to try to heal the universe and to heal this country, well, not heal the universe, but heal the world and heal this country and what's going on in it right now. We're just spiritually weary. And I know I really felt extremely weary and began to question why I even bother to pray. Of course, I snapped back quickly. I came back from visiting the Martians and figured it out, but I really have been thinking about those things. Like, why do we do the things we do? The hateful things we do. So, yep. And there's still nothing done about, I don't know what is so wrong with having comprehensive background checks before someone buys a gun. I don't understand it. I think that it makes sense. The only reason that I think folks would have a problem with it is that some people have guns, and if a background check were run on them, they would know that they would be found not supposed to have guns. They might have a criminal charge or something, and they would find that you are not even supposed to be in possession of a gun. So I just don't understand why we can't get decent gun laws. And I'd like very much to see those assault weapons just totally banned, that they just can't, nobody can own one or use one because they're not good for hunting. If you're a good hunter, you don't need a gun that's gonna rip through the animal and tear it up, if you're a good shot. So I would like to see those banned altogether. Yes. And I know that I was feeling a little sad because all week we've been reminded of the number of Black men and women who have been killed by policemen because they were asleep in bed or because of a traffic stop. or because of an alleged trying to pass an alleged fake $20 bill, or selling loose cigarettes, or running away and getting shot in the back. I was deeply saddened to hear about the latest shooting and killing of the little child. No, he was a 20-year-old. His last name is Wright. I think it's Deontay Wright. Still, I wonder why it's necessary for policemen, when they see a black man in a car, approach the car with guns drawn. I'm wondering about that, because I don't know that I've ever seen that when they were approaching white people in a car. I've never seen that. But anyway, we have a few things we can talk about and a few people we can make fun of. The first one being the devil himself, Pat Robertson, who's just going to go up in flames one day. They're going to come looking for him, and he will have spontaneously combusted. He came out and made a passionate statement about the killings, which was very interesting to me. I don't know if he gets it. I don't know if his laity has a large black population, but I found it very, very interesting that the Keebler elf would come out and make such a statement. Linda Sandoval says, "I'm a seer, Jace, and I'm telling you what I see. I wake up screaming, crying, shaking, and my nose bleeding profusely. It's horrible. It's hard on my heart, but I have been literally screaming online about what I see." And I get it. I really do. I haven't, it's been difficult to sleep. Again, I felt like I was walking around holding my breath. Linda, I always write down the names of the people who come to the chats. So I will be sending you my prayers, and I hope they help bring you some calm. A few weeks ago, I woke up at about 2:30 in the morning, and it felt like somebody I knew or somebody had put out a 911 call or something. So my aunt always said that when the angels wake you up like that, it is praying time. So I did get up and I prayed, so that I hope that if any of you were having a difficult time these last couple of weeks, know that I've been sending you some good energy and some lovely thoughts. And Rhonda Cox, I don't understand why they can't shoot them in the leg either, but I just don't understand why there always has to be a gun involved when it is a black person. I don't understand that. Kyle Rittenhouse walked out after his shooting. He walked out with his hands up. The cops just said, get on with your business, get on. They didn't suspect him of having done anything. Dylan Roof got food, then was treated very nicely. The young man who killed the Asian women, I don't want to say their names really. He was treated decently. Yeah. I tell you, it seems to be so stupid, for lack of a better word. Oh Lord, I've been waking up between 3 and 4, 5 every morning as well. Um, well, there went that thought. I can see that I'm trying to do two things at once. So, yes, there's been a lot of not only just negative thoughts, but bullets and killings, bullets and killings. And so Pat Robertson has said something about it. He said it's like he gets it. I want to talk about some feelings that I got from the trial. I felt like the Hennepin County coroner may have wanted to write an accurate report, but was told not to do that. Which is why when he got on the stand, he did not mention at all that Mr. Floyd died because he couldn't breathe. He didn't mention that in his autopsy, and I think perhaps it was because he was told not to mention that. So that was my little take on it. My head is like so full of questions, just questions. We had people storm the Capitol and do vile things like pee and poop all over the place and breaking windows, just destroying the thing. And yet, none of them have had to face a policeman with a gun. I don't think any of them were arrested and taken out with a gun or that they were approached with guns. I mean, I really don't know. I made it a point to kind of not know, but I doubt it. And now Marjorie Taylor Greene, that chick is from Neptune. I'm telling you, she is really, really on fire with her, what do they call America First caucus, where they want to push the Anglo-Saxon ideals and values, I guess. I'm trying to figure out what those are. Anglo-Saxon values. What does that mean? What does that mean? It means, let me light up my room. What it means is that the browning of this nation is a frightening thing, and white people are thinking that by suppressing the votes, by jacking up immigrants, whatever they need to do, they're thinking that somehow they can stop the inevitable, which is people are tired. They want a change. They voiced it in the presidential election. And I pray that they do so in the upcoming 2022 elections. And I want to encourage everybody, don't just wait until there are national elections. Get involved in all the elections and in your city, in your state, in your city or town, and you say, get involved with all of those people so that you know who's going to represent you, even beginning at the state level, because usually from the state level, they go to the federal level. So know who's running, know something about them, and get out and vote. We have to do it because this whole America First thing is the Tea Party on steroids. On steroids. And I would really like for her to outline what Anglo-Saxon ideals she's speaking of. Because I don't know that she's got a lot of people. I think even that's a bit too far, even for the jellyfish that are called the Republican Party. I think that might be a bridge too far. It's okay for us to want to stay in power as old white men. We want to do that, but we can't talk about how we feel about other people. We'll let you do it. So she comes out and says what's on their minds. Oh, so she's coming up for re-election, and she's got a pretty good candidate running against her. So we're just praying that the Dems pick up some seats in the House and in the Senate, because I really feel that, as many of you feel, I think, I really feel that we are actually getting, some things are getting done. Even though we still see that breaking news thing on all the news stations, there's always breaking news. I thought we had been finished with breaking news. But speaking of breaking news, what about that lovely Matt Gaetz? I'm not doing any readings or anything on him. I'm just thinking about what I get intuitively and probably making up stories about him. But, I get the fact that he knew, he knew that this investigation was going on long before we did. He knew that he was being investigated. I don't know. I guess he thought it would go away, or that Trump would remain in office and it would go away. But yeah, he knew about this investigation into whether or not he was messing with underage girls and taking them across state lines and paying them money. He knew about it. I look at him and he reminds me of this animated character named Max Headroom. He reminds me of Max Headroom. Just, he was a computer generated guy who was an asshole, I think. I haven't watched any of it. You can get him on YouTube. But he was kind of a jerk, and he would get these computer glitches, where he would wobble or repeat something. Matt Gaetz reminds me of him with the structure of his face, and he looks to me like he's just a lousy lover, that he's not. And now we're getting all of his dirt, ecstasy, cocaine, group sex. That seems to be the thing. We're finding out about people's sex lives now. Gates' sex life, yeah, and Tiny's sex life, other people's sex lives. Will and Jada. We're finding out about these people's personal lives. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So anyway, he knew about it. And I'd like to tell him that he is not being victimized by anybody. He's just a victim of his own fucked up actions. You've been a naughty boy. So you are a victim of that. Nobody's victimizing you. And it certainly isn't Merrick Garland. This was Bill Barr opened this investigation. So if you're going to be pissed off at somebody and talk about crooked DOJ, you need to refer to the previous administration. Yeah, it gets more and more lurid every day. They break us off a piece about what Matty Matt was doing at the parties. Yes. Good grief. I'm wondering though, he's got some fight in him. I got to put my glasses on to read any comments. Electra Storm says pandemic has gotten us way too close to celebrities. Oh yeah, well, people have a way of deifying the celebrities, so we believe what they say, and we always want to get into their lives, and if it's anything like juicy, like, oh boy, like The Bachelor, who has come out as gay. Nobody knew. Well, I guess not, because he was on The Bachelor. Now he's free to be who he is, and I'm glad. But it just seems to me that somebody might have got an inkling that maybe he just wasn't. He wasn't an accidental virgin because women he wasn't getting. He didn't want a woman. Okay, so yeah, we know too much about what's going on in celebrities' lives, but I guess it's entertaining. We can talk about it. There's some similarities between T.I. and Tiny's troubles and Matt Gaetz' troubles. They're both being accused of sex trafficking. Now, I don't know if there are any underage girls in T.I. and Tiny's situation, but they have similarities. They all apparently like to get some good drugs and get some girls and get in and get busy. Get busy. Woo! Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. And so now we know. Now we know what they like to do. Don't you think? Don't you find it like difficult sometimes um, when somebody tells you something about a person and you look at them and you remember what they told you, so all you can think about is what that person told you about the person you're talking to? I don't know that I'll ever be able to look at T.I. and Tiny again in the same way. Not that I was like up on their music or anything, but I just won't be able to talk. Every time I look at them now, I think about these young women that are all coming forward. And boy, there's a lot of them. They've been busy, apparently, allegedly, as has Gates. Wow. Wow. So let's, well, we know Mitch McConnell, that badger's ass. I think he's just dialing it in or phoning it in right now. I don't really think he wants to be there. I don't. He doesn't like being a minority anything. So I don't. I don't think he. I think he's just going through the motions, really. Especially after Zaddy came out and vilified him and his wife at that little meeting they had in Florida. Why do these people still kiss this man's ass after he's insulted your wife, your children, you? I mean, I don't get it. I don't get it. Are they a bunch of masochists? I just don't get it. I don't see any man standing up to him about their wife. I think Cruz did for about 2 seconds, and then he went back to eating the corn out of Daddy's runny poo and drinking the Kool-Aid. But you would think McConnell would at least come out and do something about his wife's honor. Okay. These men. Then we have good old Tucker Carlson, the white supremacist himself. He's saying that we're coming after all the white people. The replacement. That white people are being replaced by other cultures and brown people and what's wrong with using the word replacement? I mean, if we have immigrants coming in here and they're voting for Democrats, then that bullshit. Nobody's replacing anybody. Nobody's replacing anyone. But this is the kind of crap that is talked about day in and day out. Day in and day out. Fox News is putting out bullshit. They allow those personalities to put out bullshit like that. That if as a brown person or a black person or a First Nation person, I'm given something or I receive something that I rightfully deserve, I'm taking something from a white person. What kind of mentality is that? I'm whiter than half of Europe, and no one is trying to replace me. It's all hot air to push an ugly agenda. You're right, Aspie Third. It is ugly. And I just, in my heart of hearts, wish there was something that we could do to just kind of make it stop or drown out the noise. Or I know Johnny has often said there are more of us than there are of them. They just scream louder. We're going to have to scream louder and say that this is not acceptable, because Laughlin Murdoch isn't going to let Tucker go because his numbers are too good. You have to hit those places, those shows in the pocket. The advertisers, the sponsors. You have to not purchase stuff from them. Something. It's crazy. In the 21st century, we're still talking about the color of somebody's skin. In the 21st century, Black people are still, some that probably voted for the first time in the last two elections. We're now being, we're now being told that we voted fraudulently. I think the fraudulent votes were from Republican voters, if memory serves me correctly, that the ones that were actually outed weren't done by Democrats. It's amazing how pervasive his lie, the lie that began with "this is rigged" or "this is a fraud." It's amazing how that lie has taken hold. It's amazing. Now I notice they ain't fucking with Dominion too much right now, though. They're quiet on that front, because none of them wants them to come knock them with a lawsuit for another $1.6 billion. But it's amazing how that lie caught on fire, and that people still believe it. Even when he's ripping them off. Can you imagine going bankrupt because you made one donation, and then he came back next week and robbed your ass, and the week after that, and the week after that, and you would still vote for him? I did a little research because I was thinking to myself, what racism didn't just begin here in America. It has lived in Europe for centuries. We have always been considered other. Well, anybody who wasn't white was other. However, we were considered to be missing links, or we were between man and ape, or just not human, not human at all. And I saw this documentary where they were talking about the war and how the French occupied Germany. I keep getting the number 1921. I could have the dates wrong, but it might have been in the 1930s. And when they occupied Germany, they brought with them Senegalese soldiers who have fought in the war with them. And the white people, particularly the white men, did not like having anyone Black have any kind of authority over them. So they began to circulate these stories about Black men raping their women. They had these grotesque cartoons in newspapers where Black men were made to look like apes, hanging on to a white woman who is fainting. And the women who actually met and fell in love with some of these soldiers were vilified and called traitors, and they were fallen women. But the most heinous thing they did was the Germans made sure that none of the children who were born from mixed marriages would ever be able to have babies. They forced these children to be castrated or made sterilized, so that the mixed children couldn't reproduce. And there were people who were writing terrible things, and that racist thought spread to the UK, and then it spread to America. The descendants of Germans, the descendants of the British, descendants of the Dutch, the European countries. And then I had to think about how the press and movies, just how our images have been broadcast around the world, so that when other nationalities and other people, immigrants, come to this country, they want to separate themselves because they've seen the worst about what Black people are in America. That's what media has done. I watched some documentaries about human zoos, where Aborigines, I think, and African tribesmen were kept like in zoo-like places, and they were entertainment. So for centuries, we have not been actually looked at as if we're human. We were 3/5 of a person when we came here, which is like furniture. We were owned. The master could do anything he wanted to do to us. The church sanctioned it by saying that we had no souls. So it was okay. God wouldn't get mad at him if you beat us to death and killed us. He wouldn't get mad. Oh, Jesus, religion. So, yeah. Then recently, I listened to a tape conversation. You may have heard about it, about a prominent Atlanta businessman who was talking to one of his employees, and his solution to all the problems was, if you just killed he's saying this, just killed all the Black people, that would solve all the problems. Just kill them all. And then he goes on, those hedges over there need to be trimmed. And of course, when the conversation got out and he was identified, he was sorry, and I didn't mean to hurt, that standard canned apology, which is so insincere. I'd have more respect for you if you say, yeah, I said it, and that's how I feel. But instead, you want to give some sorry apology for making such a terroristic comment. Well, let's read some of some of your comments. Let's see. Hey, Sharon, did I speak to you? Let's see. Ask Me Third Eye says, our genetic variations. Whoa, I lost you. Our genetic variations are a safeguard against most diseases. They should be celebrated as the insurance policy for the species that they are. Okay. I love religion. Five Paces says, I love religion at Lori, but I do understand why you feel that way. Callie's kid says he's sorry because he wants to keep his job and not be. I don't even like the word cancel. You cannot cancel a person. You can cancel an aspect of what they did, but you cannot cancel a human being. You know, and when I speak of religion, to me, the religious structure is about control. I love dealing with the spirit, and I refer to the spirit as the Holy Spirit because that's what I call the spirit that speaks to me. And I do call out the angels, and I know their names. So when I speak about religion, it's because I feel like religion has done so much to hurt people. It has done so much to hurt people. I mean, to the point of some folks committing suicide based on what the church has said and done. So while we're on that, in the future, I'm going to be discussing, I'm lining up some guests because I want to discuss some very serious topics sometimes and get some laughs too. I'd like to have some LGBTQIA people, friends come on, just people from the gay community to come on to discuss how they're treated, and also the talk with transgender women and straight women, because there seems to be, from some of the things I've seen, there's apparently this rift between heterosexual women, or what they call cis women, and transsexual women. So I think that'll be an interesting topic. We will discuss race because race is what it is right now. It's in our face. The racism is in our face. So we will discuss it. And I wished I could find something humorous about it. I just haven't found anything humorous about it right now. With the energy of the last couple of weeks, it's just been tiring and painful. And then we're going to have juke joint nights when I have music guests on. And I can hardly wait till I can actually get a real camera and a real mic and set things up so that it's a real professional production, because I'd like to be able to, I just want to kick the game up on the channel. Tonight was just wanting to come on and just chat with you all. If there are things, yeah, Lori, there really isn't anything funny about racism. It's just old and it's tired. And Five Paces, you're right. Transgender women have been treated horribly, and they get killed, and we really don't hear much about it. William Cottrell says, Jace, I've lived my whole life. I'm not going back in the closet. I don't blame you. It gets stuffy in there. I don't blame you. It's all of this is just old. And I really feel that the one thing that we are supposed to learn while we're on this beautiful blue marble is that we are supposed to learn to love one another as we expect to be loved by God, infinite wisdom, infinite creator, whatever you call that, which is your prayer partner or your meditation, whatever you call your Holy Spirit. I think the one thing we're here to do is to be able to love people where they are, for what they are, instead of immediately judging someone. I don't think anybody wakes up and decides that they want to be a part of the most vilified community ever. Five Paces says I had a transgender coworker who was murdered. It was so sad. Yes, it is sad, and within the Black community, I want to have them come out and discuss how our LGBTQ brothers and sisters are treated within the Black community and the church. I want them to come on and talk about that. You know, you just get so over people talking about love, spreading love, 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 love. I'm a Christian. Now when somebody says it, I just, boom. I'm allergic to bullshit. Because I doubt that if you're doing what you're supposed to do as a Christian, and the main thing is to love people, you can't draw people to your beliefs or to your God or whatever by telling them how fucked up they are. If Jesus says, or we believe that we're supposed to draw men closer unto God, then we have to meet them where they are. I'm not trying to change anyone. I mean, I've been judged and called names, and people created stories for me and didn't even know me. So I know what that feels like. Trust me, I do. I know what it feels like. We're all going to hell, is what they preach. I know I remember, oh my God, I remember how when I was a little girl and I'd be wanting to get out of there and go ride my bike or something. You know, they were preaching those fire and brimstone. Everybody was going to hell. Everybody was going to hell. I didn't know about the loving God until I began to study for myself with the help of my grandmother, who was just one of the gentlest and kindest people I know. May she rest in peace and power. You know. So Christopher Hitchens said that Earth is a penal colony and we're all here doing time. Doing time. I don't know if anybody are familiar with Christopher Hitchens. He was a writer. I don't know the name of his books right offhand, but he had reverence for nothing. So, the whole believing in God, he didn't believe in any of that. He said, this is a prison colony and we are down here doing time. And I know sometimes it feels just like that we are down here doing some time and wondering, what have I done to deserve this? So I thought that was funny when he said that. And out of all the beautiful planets, ours is like the brightest. It's just so pretty when you look at the pictures from space. And we are doing a good job of tearing her up bit by bit, piece by piece. This beautiful planet. And we've jacked up the air and the water and the soil. We haven't, as Adrian would say, we have to be kind to Mama Earth. We haven't been so kind to her. So let's read some more comments. Let's see. William says, I live my life loving everyone, so that's my reward. And I think that's beautiful. It's tough for me to, I know some people they probably think that that I'm this really outspoken, direct person, and I am that person sometimes, but I do not like holding grudges. I have a real tough time with that. I just want to let it go and let's get on. Just let it go. Now that doesn't mean that I'm gonna come back to you so you can kick me in my ass again, but it does mean I'm not gonna hold any grudges. It doesn't make any sense. I've always been a lover. Yes, I am, and I intend to stay one. Yep. It even shows in the music and the songs that I choose. I like pretty songs, so I like to sing love songs and stuff. That's why sometimes songs like WAP, meaning wet ass pussy, Johnny had to tell me what that meant. I didn't even know what that meant. That's why some of this music gets away from, because I wonder, like, what are you going to tell your child when saying, Mommy, did Daddy play you love songs? Yeah, he used to throw on WAP. Yeah. That's why I was so happy when Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak came out with Leave the Door Open. It felt like real music, like real love music. Perfect. So it's springtime. Um, I'm motivated, so I'm doing Pilates and um, yoga and some lifting. I brought one of my weights over, one that I can kind of work with 3 different ways, because I am losing weight and I'm really, really happy about that. But I don't like losing weight in my titties, so I really like to get me a brand new pair. Because when I lose weight, it seems the first place it goes are my tits, and I really like having juicy boobs. So, um, so I want to get some new titties for myself, not for anyone else, not just for myself. Giancana Thomas, somebody told me once that this was hell, and some of us were here to pay for what we've done, and some of us were here to bust hell wide open, and in the end, help her and the rest of us ascend. Oh my. I guess I could pull this closer, but you have to see this work area. It's pretty busy right now. Notebooks. I brought my cards out. I thought maybe I might pull some, but I haven't gotten that far with it yet. Um, there's a lady named Crystal Mason who's going to court. I guess she tried to vote in 2016. She didn't know that she couldn't vote, and she might have used a provisional ballot somewhere in Texas. And she's looking at 5 years for trying to vote. Isn't that something? Some drug dealers don't get that much time. That's a shame. That is just a shame. Now, let's see. Anyone else? Let's see. What do you want to talk about? Ask me some questions, and I'll see if I can answer them. Yeah, 5 years, 5 paces. She's looking at 5 years. She didn't know that she couldn't vote. She was told she could. She voted on a provisional ballot. Hey, Johnny. And she's looking at 5 years. Yep, just because she wanted to cast the vote. Where's the justice in that? She's a black woman. So, we are aware of our blackness every day. And with so much venom and vitriol in the air, it's even more in the front of my mind, because I don't want to think that everybody I come across is a racist. I don't think like that. I don't want to think like that. And yet I had begun to build up these feelings of mistrust. It's like being very, very cagey, or at least very protective when I'm out and about and I'm approached. Just being very, very protective. And I didn't like that feeling at all. So I've had to release it. I can't operate in fear. I won't operate in fear. It's not what I do. It's not what I do. Well, Lori, if it were left up to the dryball limp dick crew that are the old white men in the Senate and in Congress, yeah, they would turn the clocks back if they could. They would turn the clocks back if they could. They would turn the clocks back to the time when the niggers knew their place. And their place was to clean your house and nurse your babies, nurse their babies, and get raped by the master and not say anything about it and have babies for the master. And when my child comes, they become slaves as well. Yeah, these shootings have left me weary. And there doesn't seem to be any end in sight. And I'm convinced that this whole lock-in situation has traumatized children. And I bet you those young men the boy that shot the Asian women and these last shooters just going out and shooting people and then killing themselves, or I bet that they have been caught up in those whole gaming situations where their whole lives are lived inside of a fantasy and not a nice one. I'd be willing to bet you that they played video games a lot. We used to cry when we had to come in. We didn't want to come in from outside. But now it's difficult to get children off their electronic devices and get them out to get fresh air. Our new normal. Oh, good grief. Let's see. Let's read some more. Aspie Third Eye says they would turn the clocks back to the time we lived in caves. They carried clubs, grunted, and dragged their women around by the hair. Wow. Or now, let me tell you something. The ice cream truck is coming through here, and I know good and goddamn well ain't nobody selling no ice cream at 9 p.m. at night. See, there are a lot of I'm seeing a lot of faces around here that I hadn't seen before, and I'm anxious to finally get into my own space. My prayers that will be very, very soon, sooner rather than later. Because there are times when you just don't feel safe here. We have a security guard who watches television all night long. So I don't know what he's securing. And then there are just random people coming through. My neighbor, who is a dog trainer and groomer, and I mean, he grooms show dogs and stuff, had his vehicle ransacked. And instead of pulling the tape, because they have cameras trained on these places, you know, when he complained about it, the manager asked him, how did he know they did it? Or did he see them do it? You have tape. You have cameras. You can find out who did it. So the whole safety thing is sort of worrying me a little bit. Just a little. Video games, is it Jaconda? Thomas says video games where everybody just spends all their time shooting and killing each other. Yeah, and they look pretty realistic too. They look like movies anymore. The production of those video games are just magnificent. They're like movies. And then you can play with anybody all around the world. So you don't ever know who might be playing gaming with you. It's wild. It's wild. Yes, it is. It's wild. Rhonda Cox says it seems like the government doesn't want to do anything. Pass some gun safety laws. We'd like that. If the NRA is going broke, bankrupt, I don't know why anybody is hanging on to the NRA. It's not like they have a whole lot of money. So it would be great if just sensible laws. Nobody wants to take your guns away from you unless your ass is not supposed to have one. If you're a criminal and you have a gun and you know you're not supposed to have one, then yeah, your nerves might be bad if somebody does a background check. But it's time for that to happen. And while you're at it, check to see if they're mentally stable to even have a gun. We have a big mental illness issue. Folks think that I remember when they closed all the mental hospitals here and the parks and areas where the patients could go. I mean, I even saw a lady who was in a robe and like some pajama bottoms, and I could tell that she had problems. And she's out homeless. So a lot of the people on the streets aren't drug addicts. A lot may be, but there are many more, I think, who are out there who have mental issues and their families don't want them, or they have nowhere to go. There's no hospitals to help them. They have to do something in order to get arrested, to go to jail and perhaps get some medication, you know? Aspie Third Eye says, I remember when Tennessee closed the mental hospitals too. Just turned people with no place to go out on the street for the prison system to take over. And that's about what it is. Shit, we're fucked up. This country really has, I think in terms of Gates, I feel like he just lit a fuse. And that there are the men that looked at those pictures of him with those women, those naked pictures. Yeah. Anybody circling him, I think, is doing so to protect themselves. They don't want their names involved. But it's crazy, crazy, crazy. For Gates, it was showtime. He didn't go to do any kind of work. He just wanted the notoriety. And then he wanted to hitch his wagon to whom he thought was the winner. And now everybody's trying to back off of him. like he's got a bad disease. I loved his interview with Tucker Carlson when he talked about the dinner where you were there with your wife and I brought my date, and I wanted Tucker looked like he had the piles, like he wanted to shit and couldn't, as he hustled to find some kind of answer. No, I don't remember that date. I bet not, son. Because then the people be knocking on your door to ask you to answer some questions, okay? 5 Paces, the sugar daddy thing was very popular in Florida when I lived there. The sugar daddy thing is popular everywhere. If you can find one, you know, you throw a 17-year-old girl $300-400, maybe $1,000. You throw some cash. She's down. Yeah, I'll do it. I get a chance to go somewhere, and I get some cash. Yeah. I wonder where her parents were. If this person was indeed 17 years old. Well, I don't know. I remember when I was on the road, I met a lot of groupies who were young girls, and it used to trouble me so when they would come around the band, because I'd want to know how old are you and why are you here? Trying to go to bed with these grown ass men. Gosh, that used to really bother me. And in LA, it was kind of the same group of young girls. They had like a network so that any of the British boys coming over could get in touch with them to have some fun while they were here in the States. Crazy. They didn't like having me around because I was like a cock blocker, so they didn't. There were certain things they wouldn't do in my presence, that's for sure. Yeah. Rhonda Cox, all those bastards who look at naked women on the floor of Congress need to go with him. Well, I think that's what the fear is, that the ones who looked and enjoyed them and got their kicks, laughing and whatnot, as he's bragging about having nailed it. They might be the ones who are surrounding him, coming around him to make sure he keeps his mouth shut about them. Looks like it might be every man for himself. Every man for himself, baby. Because ain't none of them trying to go to jail because they're pedophiles. Oh my goodness, my goodness, my goodness, Hollywoodness. Mm, mm, mm. Mm, mm, mm. But it brings up the subject of, in some cultures, when a girl reaches her period, she's considered a woman and therefore is expected to marry. And it's not just in African cultures. It's in Middle Eastern culture. It's in Chinese culture. It's when she gets to a point, when a chick gets to a point where she can have babies, it wasn't unusual for what we call underage women or girls to marry older men. I remember when I lived in New York, there was a little kiosk around the corner that sold newspapers and little, odd little things like chains for your key chains and that sort of thing. And they had this particular yaroom that I liked, and I would walk over there, and a very young baby face girl was uh, was the salesperson, and there was an older man with, I mean, silver hair that was sitting not far from her, and I'm thinking, she's a child. I mean, she looks like a baby. She might have been 17 or 18, and she kind of opened up to me, and I said, "Oh, it's nice to have your father here so you can feel safe." And she got a terrified look on her face, and she kind of leaned in. "It's not my father, that's my husband." And it's like, whoa, I'm so sorry. But he looked old enough to be her granddaddy. And then, Rhonda, we have young girls who look 17 and 18. And you're right. A lot of it comes from eating fast food, which is filled with chemicals and additives. I think children now are probably they're now, some children, if they're eating a lot of this stuff, are coming up with high blood pressure and diabetes. Shoot, those are supposed to be things you get when you start getting old and breaking down, I guess. Yeah, it is in patriarchal cultures. And yeah, I don't know that I would survive in that kind of society because I'm just too strong-willed. It's like, tell me I can't do something, and I'll probably set out figuring out how I can. It can be a wonderful motivator to have somebody tell you what you can't do. But yeah, in those patriarchal societies, it's awful. Can you imagine, being a child and having your parents arrange a marriage for you to someone that you don't know, you've never seen, who may be 20, 30 years older than you, and your parents made a deal that you would marry them because he's got cows, that a woman's life is not valued as much as a cow is, like that crazy ass abortion law in Tennessee. The United States just can't go around talking to people and telling them a damn thing about a goddamn thing. Because this is George Jetson's time. This is the 21st century. And they see us. They see what's happening in our streets. They see how the minorities, how Black and brown and Asian and First Nation people are treated. So when Putin and Xi Jinping can come back and throw in our faces, you can't say anything to us about human rights violations. We're in a bad position. And so in Tennessee, and I think they tried to pass some sort of law like this in Alabama, one of the other southern states. I know they tried it here, where even if as a result of incest or rape, you can't get an abortion. And if you get raped and have the baby, and the father is in prison, the rapist is in prison, he has a say in that child's life, that he would have a say whether or not you can have an abortion or not. Now, see, I am a survivor of that. I haven't told the whole story. I don't know if I ever will, but I can't imagine anyone wanting to have a baby that came as a result of rape. I think that would be a tough decision for somebody to make. I know it would be. So why would I have a baby with a man, and actually say I'm pregnant and let him have a say in what happens to the baby or to me? No, 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 no. We can't talk about the Saudis just allowing women to drive when we have no ownership of our bodies either. Anti-abortion is what the pro-life people are. They're not pro-life because they don't give a damn about a life once it gets here. If you need public assistance, then you're a burden on the system. We're not going to pay you to lay up and have babies. To have a baby from rape or incest. I mean, there's so many things that go wrong with a child that's born through incest. I mean, that was what was going wrong with the royal blood. I think Philip is the queen's cousin twice removed or something. May he rest in peace. Yeah. So in Tennessee, if you become pregnant under those circumstances, then, tough, tough. Aspie Third Eye says if they were really against abortion, they would give women authority over their bodies and make birth control as easy as a soda pop to get as a soda pop. No, because see, birth control isn't natural. It's not natural. It is not natural. I think what the rhythm method, it was the method that Catholics were using. I don't know what that means, but I guess you had to chronicle or track the days when you would be doing it. That would take the fun out of it though, wouldn't it? It's not spontaneous. Ah, yeah. We are nothing. I mean, to many men, women are nothing more than sperm receptacles. That's all. That's your gig. We can't even get a women's protection bill passed. Why would you not want to protect women? Why wouldn't you want to protect your own women? Why wouldn't you want to protect women? Yeah, we're pretty fucked up over here in the US of A right now. However, there is a brighter day coming. Brighter days are coming. Actually, brighter days are here. Let's affirm that brighter days are here. I know it's difficult sometimes to even get out of bed. Would you just like to just roll over and pull the covers over your head and just wait? Yeah, wait until it's over or something. I don't know. Let's see. How can you learn to track the days and learn your womanly birth control when some pedophile wants to marry you at 12 or 13? Yeah, well, yeah, that's probably not something that's on their minds at that time. No, it's just she's young, she's fertile, That's it. I think men have always had a thing for younger women. Except the younger guys now are coming after the older women now. I don't know how I spun off onto this. I was getting ready to fuss about women's rights and whatnot. I just but I've noticed that young men are approaching mature women, and not just because they want something to do, it's because they really want a relationship. I find that very interesting. So let's all make a pledge to be coyotes. Yes, as long as they're legal, okay? We don't. I, for one, have to have some age and experience on a partner. So even though it's flattering to have young men compliment me, I know that I'm not going to do anything with them. They're just fun to flirt with. Yeah, yeah. Let's see. At that age you're not a woman? No, I don't even think even I think 20s are an extension of your teens. So you don't even really become a woman, I think, until around 30 when you begin to think about your life for real. At least that's when I began to think about life in a whole another way when I had my 30th birthday. Because when you leave home in your 20s, you're doing your best to be an adult and to carve out a life for yourself, but you're still sort of, I don't know, you're just young, and you're trying to figure it out. And by 30, you kind of have some things figured out, or at least you're on your way to getting some things figured out. Yeah, yeah. So those milestones. Oh, speaking of Jen Lynn reached a milestone, and she had a lovely birthday gathering, and it was fun on her channel to have us come on and wish her a happy birthday. I thought that was, it was fun. I like her. I like Jen. She's snarky, and I appreciate that about her. But yeah, young men. Do you all like younger men? Who in the chat is going to be honest enough and say, "Yeah, I like young men, younger men." Now, I'm not talking about teenagers. I'm talking about like men in their, well, mid 20s and up. How's that? Let's begin at 25, 26. Oh, it's cougars. You're right, Electra. I said coyotes. It was cougars. Yeah, we were taking five paces. Good night. Peace and love to you too. Thank you for coming on and hanging out with me for a little while. You have sweet slumber. Let's see. Lori, I'm the youngest of six, and my mom was 21 when she had me. Yeah, that's about the age when I guess women, would get married and have children. Yeah. I never, ever thought about marriage. It was never something that I like on my to-do list or anything. It wasn't ever at the top of the list. Now it would be nice. It would be nice to have someone to cuddle up to and get your swerve on, child. It'd be nice to cozy up to someone. However, I've never ever had a desire to be married. I've liked being single, or at least I like the freedom that's in it. And I've always wanted to be successful in my music or in my career, whatever it was that I was doing. I was always reaching for success in that. So that didn't leave a whole lot of time for romance, you know. Yeah, but I'd like a little. It's springtime. Every springtime, though, I think about romance. I think it's great. It's time for new things, y'all. New. Let's see. Men at any age are a pain in the ass. Electrostorms. You sound like you have some experience. That's funny. I love it. Lori says to have someone to depend on. Yes. And someone that, I know we all want joy and fulfillment in all areas of our lives. That's it. And I've had it. I know that what that joy and fulfillment feels like, and I want it again, And now that I'm more reasonable, because I tell you, I can be a handful. I've learned to temper that. Yeah, so for spring, it's time for love. Well, there's always time for love, but there's just something about spring. Oh my gosh, there's just something about it. Let's see some more comments. LGBT here, what partner? I mean, I'm just talking about partners. It could be your partner, it could be your man, it could be your woman. It could be any of that. I'm not judging whoever, whatever. Love is love to me. Love is just love. So if you love someone and they are loving you, then you are indeed fortunate. You are blessed to have someone in your life that has your back, someone you can trust, someone you can depend on. Yeah, that's great. Rhonda says, I never thought about marriage until I finally find my husband at age 45. We truly love and respect one another. Yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. I know that I'm going to have that experience as well. I may already have had it, just trying to figure it out right now. I may. That will be on a story night when we're telling stories. And on my next video, I think I'll be a bit more prepared. I tried to prepare myself all day because I wouldn't have anybody with me to chat with. So that's why the actual chat became so important. Well, yeah, I'll be talking to some people. Some of them might even find it, they might even find it nice to be here. Yeah, and I do want to thank you all, because you could be anywhere else on a Saturday night at 9:29, and you decided that you would come on and spend some time with me. So I don't want any of you to think that doesn't mean anything to me or that I don't appreciate it, because I really, really do. I look forward to petty parties and our little gatherings. I really, really do. So going forward, I think what will happen on my channel is that I will have more conversation. I would love for Adrian and Johnny to visit from time to time, where we can get some funny topics and throw some cards on them. I'd like this channel to be a place where people can come and be open and honest, and that we can have open and honest dialogue, not disrespecting anyone, not coming from a nasty place, but really coming to learn and to get some understanding about things and people that we may not have had these kinds of conversations with, So I want you to know this is a safe place, that I don't come on before sending prayer so that no negativity can come on with us. And when I get off, I go through the chat and write down the names. And I send you some love and I send you some light. and some peace. So yeah, thanks so much. I'm thinking about ways to improve what I'm doing, what exactly my thing is. I have hosted a radio show before, but however, it was heavily musically based, so that was easy. You know, friends would come on and we would have conversations. Um, so we'll have that. We will have that. I really would love to figure out a way I can play their music so you can hear them before I introduce them to you, so that you, and this will be music that's primarily rooted in R&B, jazz, fusion. Um, that's the music that I love. That's the music that I sing. So those would my guests are musicians and singers of that ilk. So, with your help, if you have any suggestions, I'm open. I do want us to have petty party. I want us to get back to well, it'll be what it is. I want us to have fun. I want us to get back to the laughter that we enjoyed in some of the first few installments of this channel. So, yeah. I apologize to you if I've come on and I haven't been as petty as I know I can be. I've just been feeling emotionally not drained, but emotionally overcharged or something, if that makes sense, emotionally aware. So we'll get back to the kicks and the shits and the giggles. We'll get there. But I just want to thank you all for visiting with me tonight. We've been on for an hour and a half and you let me ramble. And I never did get to know you as much as I'd like to, but you are my friends. And I'm glad that you stopped by for the petty parties. Now, I do want to say we're going to start at a new time. We're going to start at 8 p.m. as opposed to 7, because I have some things that I'll be doing and it'll during the day that'll take me right up to about 6 o'clock, and it'll give me some time to get ready. So we're starting at 8 going forward. I'll do my best to come on just to say, hey, see how you doing, what's going on with you through the week, just to say hello. I always want to get dressed though and look decent before before I go live. You know, I want to look like any like like this. I want to look pretty for you. So that usually is the deterrent. That would mean like makeup, eyelashes, And I'm always so happy once I have it on. It's just sometimes getting there to do it, getting started. So, who said not petty anymore? Get to know one another. This is good. Lori, I do want to get to know you all. You can ask me questions and maybe one, yeah, we'll have a question and answer period. You can ask me questions, and if I can answer them, I shall. And because one thing I really like to do, I like to have a girls' night where we talk about things that are of interest to women. And I wanted to get, if it gets a little raunchy, so what? So what? I want us to address topics that really, really do interest women, because, we can get pretty wild. At least I know I can in conversation. So I'd like to do that. And guys, you're invited too, if you'd like to come on in and join us. So that's for just sharing some of my thoughts. um, about where I want to go, just to get on and chat a little bit. I love you all, and I hope you enjoy the remainder of your weekend. I will see you again. Not next. Let me see. Let's pull up the calendar and let me give you a date. Let me give you a date. Can you believe it's almost May? You know what? When I see you again, it will be May Day. It'll be May the 1st. Oh, May is so luscious. I just love May. Mm, mm, mm. Yeah. So I will see you all on May the 1st. Thanks again for coming out and supporting me. It means a whole lot to me. I promise you that I'll get better at it. I promise you that I'll be more organized. Today I just wasn't as, I have these, I still have notes from the last time I was on. I just simply wasn't as organized as I could have been. I think I was a little, I think I'm suffering from a little stage fright, really. I've done this before, but it just feels different, you know? It's just a little different. So on May the 1st, we're going to have some fun. We are. I'm going to make sure I have a surprise for you. So everybody, sweet slumber. Know that I'm sending love and light your way. May your angels go before you this week to make it easy and successful, loving, safe, and prosperous your way this week. Tell somebody you love them. Hug somebody. Kiss somebody. Yeah, let's show some love, okay? All right, good night. Thank you so much.